Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Salesforce Musketeer. In today's video, we are going to learn about social sign-out using OpenID Connect and how we can integrate Salesforce with Google and then how we can log into Salesforce via Google. Before I go ahead, I'll tell you about myself. I'm Nikhil Madan. I'm a Salesforce Technical Architect with PepsiCo. I live in Dallas and I have a YouTube channel Salesforce Musketeer, and I own the blog in Salesforce Musketeer. In today's video, we have following agendas: OpenID Connect, social sign-out, and then we will see the demo. So what is OpenID Connect? It is an open authentication protocol. It is an identity layer built on the top of OAuth 2.0 protocol. So if you remember from our previous videos, OAuth 2.0 provides you the scope. But apart from a scope, you also need a way to authenticate a user, to verify the identity of a user. So OAuth 2.0 in itself is not sufficient, so we need another layer on top of it. So for that layer, we have OpenID Connect. In one of our videos, we see how we can do it using SAML also. It is similar to SAML. The same functionality provided by SAML to authenticate a user is that functionality also provided by OpenID Connect. So it allows to use social sign-on to access relying party sites using OpenID provider. For example, Facebook or Gmail can be used to identify user. Purpose is to provide one set of credential and access multiple sites. Example, you can create your Meetup account by registering, or you can sign in using Google account. So many of you might have already seen that when you try to register to a website, they give you two options. Either you provide your username and all the details in that website, or you just log into that website via Google Connect. Means you already have a Gmail or Google account opened up in your another tab, but now in your different tab, when you go to the intended website or an application, there you get an option to log in via Google account. You don't need to register in a separate website. So one credential can be used to open multiple websites. So what's the difference between SAML, OAuth, OpenID Connect? SAML is also used, as I said, is also used for similar functionality to authenticate a user. But then what's the difference between SAML and OpenID Connect? We will see in this slide. OpenID, SAML, they both provide authentication, which means they both authenticate users. However, OAuth is an authorization protocol which defines the scope of a user once they are authenticated. OpenID Connect is less complex to use, however, SAML is more complex to use. OpenID supports mobile and web-based application, whereas SAML only support web-based application but not mobile devices. OAuth provides API access. If you remember, when we create a connected app, there we get option to provide the API access. OpenID Connect uses JWT, which is JSON Web Token. It supports range of signature and encryption algorithm, whereas SAML uses token in XML. So if you see in my SAML video, you will see there's an assertion. What do you mean by assertion? Is the message which is exchanged between the identity provider and service provider. So that assertion is in XML format. However, in OpenID Connect, the message which is exchanged is in JSON format. So user is sent from relying party to the OpenID provider. Here relying party you can consider as a service provider only, which also means that the application or website which you want to open or use. So user, for example, logs into a Salesforce, which the user wants to use Salesforce, but he would be redirected to Gmail, or Google, which is an OpenID provider here, and then they will come back to Salesforce. So, but in SAML, SAML has two type of flows. Either you directly go to identity provider, from there you go to a relying party or service provider, or there is another flow which is also known as service provider initiated flow, where it goes to service provider and then go to identity provider. So in OpenID Connect we get ID token. So what is ID token? So ID token has three parts. It has header, body, and signature. And if you decode that, you will get the other information such as what's the username, what's the audience, and the profile of the user. So that kind of information you will get in the ID token in OpenID. However, in SAML we get SAML assertion, which is federation ID and user info, which is again in XML format. We can say that OpenID is a modern identity protocol, and there's no need of certificate in OpenID. Whereas in SAML we create certificates, we upload certificates at the service provider end, and we also have certificates at identity provider end. And those certificates have expiration date, so that needs to be updated once they are expired. Now, how to know whether we need to go for SAML or OpenID Connect? As an architect, it is very important to understand which flow we should go for when we are trying to have a single sign-on enabled for our enterprise. So if single sign-on needs to be done for mobile application, then definitely we can go for OpenID Connect, as SAML doesn't support mobile application. But if the applications in your enterprise have already SAML built in, then go for SAML. SAML is best option for accessing enterprise apps via portal. So for example, some companies have their login portal, and once you log into that, then they give you multiple applications to go into, and then when you click on any desired application, then you don't need to enter credential. That happens because of SAML. To protect API or expose them require OR2 or OIDC. Enterprise favors SAML due to flexibility for customization. Regulated industry should almost always opt for SAML to protect sensitive user information. Now, what are the benefits? Or I can say why we should go for single sign-on. One, it's a very less maintenance work needed from admin side. As if, for example, if any company, for example Amazon, they are having multiple orgs of Salesforce, and user have to log into multiple orgs for their day-to-day work, and they have to remember all the username and password. So to get rid of remembering all the username, password, or submitting a request to admin to reset any password, what they can do is they can have a single sign-on enabled, and in that case they don't need to remember all those username and password. So it also helps us easy sign up, no registration required at all. Productivity of employee increases as there is no need to remember so many username, password, and of course security increases. Now we need to understand this flow to understand how the social sign-on work with Google. First, for example, Cody the bear, he logs into a Salesforce, and Salesforce must have custom domain enabled. So for example, there's a Salesforce nikhilmadar.salesforce.com. So Cody try to log in there. So on the login page, you will see that you can log in also through Google Connect. So what he will do is he will connect on click on that button, Google Connect. So from Salesforce he would be redirected to authorized server, which is Google. There he will enter username and password. Once he enters username and password, and if it is correct, he will get the authorization code and callback URL. Now Salesforce will again use that authorization code and send it to authorization server to get back access token, a refresh token, an ID token which is specific to OpenID. So that ID token will have three parts, which is header, body, and signature. Once it gets the access token, it can also try to get user information from Google application like profile, email ID, all those information. And once it's logged into Salesforce, then he can use the Salesforce just like the way he can use it after logging in on a usual way. So in demo we will cover how to log into Salesforce via Google Connect. So we will connect Google account with Salesforce. So basically this looks intimidating, however this is very, very simple. If you ask me how many steps we need for all this configuration, I'll say only 3. One is we need to set up authentication provider and Salesforce that will be connected to our Google account, and then we will link the user and then we will configure a login page. So let's jump into a demo. So I've logged in into my brand new account, and if I sign out this one, you will see we do not have that button, login via Google, so we cannot log into this through Google. Now after a configuration you will see that button over here. So for that we will go to developer.google console Google. So here we go, console.developer.google. So I will create a new project first. So in that I will go here and click on new project. I'll say demo, say SSO 17th December. I'll click on create. So I will choose this demo SSO 17 December project, and here I will go to first OAuth consent screen. I'll click on external, and here I'll say Google Connect. Just remember, in console.cloud I have first already logged in here with my account, and now I'm trying to create a project and I'm trying to get credential like client ID and client secret, which I'll use it in my OAuth provider. So I just give the app name, went to OAuth screen, give the app name and choose my email as a support where Google tech guys can reach out to me here. And in that domain you can use salesforce.com, and you can also use force.com. So this is we are whitelisting these domains, and I'm going to provide my email ID and click on save and continue. Now I will add or remove scope. This is very important. So the most important is OpenID, and then if you want you can also give email and profile. So I'll click on update. So once you give scopes and then you click on save and continue, and then there's no need to provide anything else, and that's it. Now I will go to credential. So in credential I will click on this and OAuth client ID. Here I will choose web application, and I will click on, remember we need to update this but not right now, but we will click on create, and we get this client ID and client secret. These are very important. So what I will do now here is I will go to my website, Salesforce. So in my Salesforce, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to auth provider. So auth dot space provider, and here I'm going to populate this OpenID Connect. So I can say Google Connect and consumer key. So consumer key, if you see we already have this consumer key here. I'll copy this and I will paste it here. Then I will copy the client secret and I will place it here. After this, authorization endpoint. So authorization, I already have saved it, so you can also get it in the Google document. So it's nothing but it's just this. I will provide these information. These are the mandate. User info is not mandate, so right now I can just say I will just click on save. But before that I will also say that we need to define the scope, and the scope, if you remember, we have given a scope of email ID, profile, as well as OpenID. So we need to provide all of that. I'll choose OpenID, email, profile, and that's the scope we defined in Google Connect. And second thing I need to do here is, if you see registration handler, you can click on this one. It automatically creates a registration handler for you. What it means is it has created an Apex class where it has a where it gets triggered when a user tries to log in. When a new user logs in, then that class will be triggered and a user can be created. But if a user is already there and he tries to log in again, then also that class will be triggered, but with a different method that updates the user information. That I will show you, but right now I'll just go and click on save. Once you have this information, I can also go here and give the user info, which is this one, and I click on save. So now you can I'll show you this registration handler where we can go, and if you see here, we'll try to make it simple. So if you see here, we have update user and we have create user. So if a user is logging in for the first time, then create user will be triggered, but if he's logging in second time then or more, then update user will be triggered. So if you see here, it checks for if can create user is there. What it does is it checks whether the user already exists or not. So I can simply go here, and for simplicity I can just use where name equals to, or I can use federation identifier. This is a field in the user object, which I can also show you in a while. I'll choose here data.email. So if federation email, in federation identifier field, if we have my email or your user's email already saved, then it will just return that user. I'll just say this user, and here I will say return you. I'll keep this blank and I'll save it. So it is saved. Now I will go here, and now this is the callback URL. If you remember, we have to provide this callback URL in this console Google Connect. So what we need to go do here is go to your credential, go to web client, and here if you see authorized redirect URL, we'll provide it here and click on save. So if you remember, we had 3 steps in which we have already done this step, and we have already done linking of a user by changing in the class. All we need to do is configure login page. So in that case, what we will do here is we will go to domain, and here we will click on edit, and then we will, if you see this, we are getting this option from authentication provider. We will just check this and click on save. Now one important thing also we can do is we can also link a user, which I my Salesforce user, with my Google user through federation ID field. So for that one, I'll go to user and click on edit, and I will see where's my federation ID. So this is a federation identifier. I will provide my email ID, which is same as the email ID I'm using in my Google. So now after doing this, all the steps are done. I will just log out and show you how this demo work. So if you see here, this button has started coming in. Now all you need to do is click on here and choose the Gmail. Remember I'm already logged in here, that's why I'm getting this, otherwise it would have asked me to enter credential in Google account. So I will click on here, and I will just do remind me later, and here we go. Very simple. Thank you for watching my video. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel Salesforce Musketeer and keep watching my upcoming videos. Thank you.